Hello everyone. This video we're going to go over example 3 from our slides. So I changed up the problem a little bit. So in the problem we have 29 values and there was raw data that came with the problem. But we're going to treat this as a problem where you have a partially filled out table but no raw data. So this might be something like you grabbed it from some website, you got the class limits, you've got the frequency, but you don't have any of the actual data. So just like before, what we're going to do is, because we already have our class limits, we don't really need to worry about our class widths or figuring out what the actual class limits are. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find our midpoint. So if you remember, our midpoint is just going to be our lower class limit, 6, plus our upper class limit, 10, divided by 2. So this is going to be 16 divided by 2 is going to give us a midpoint of 8. And then this is 2 higher than our lower class limit, so we're going to use that pattern for the rest of our intervals. So this is going to be 13, this is going to be 18, this is going to be 23, and this one is going to be 28. So you'll notice in this one, we have more classes, right? Because every example we've done so far, we had 4 classes, but there's nothing to say that you can't have more or even less classes. And this would usually be dependent on, when you're doing a study, what number of classes do you choose? Or in this case, what number do we tell you to do? So now, based on this, we had to figure out what our tolerance is. So our tolerance is going to be based on the difference of our upper class limit of one group to the lower class limit of the next group, meaning that we have a difference of 1, so we have a tolerance of 1, meaning we're going to be, again, subtracting and adding 0.5 for our lower class boundaries and our upper class boundaries. So our lower class boundaries are going to be 5.5, 10.5, 15.5, 20.5, and 25.5. Our upper class limits, we're going to add 0.5, so this is going to be 10.5, 15.5, 20.5, 25.5, and 30.5. Now, we already have our frequencies, so we don't have to tally them like we did in the last example. So we're actually ready to go. We could actually draw our histogram right now. And if we wanted to, we would just do our x and our y-axis. So we're going to title it. This is just going to be titled Histogram. And our x-axis, in this case, last one we did our midpoints. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to use our class boundaries. So we're going to start at our lower class boundary, 5.5, and we'll go up to the upper class boundary of 10.5, go up to the next one, which will be 15.5, up to the next one, which is going to be 20.5, the next one, which is 25.5, and then for the last one, 30.5. And these are going to be our class boundaries. By the way, I do know in the last video that I cut off the bottom a little bit, so I moved the camera to hopefully fix that in this video. Now, we already have our frequencies, and we see that our values go from somewhere from 4 to 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this in 2s. So this is going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. Now, of course, you could make the scale bigger if you actually wanted to fill up the whole graph, but we're just getting the idea here. We're freehanding it. It's not a huge deal. So our first group, we have a frequency of 5. So we start our lower class boundary. We go up to 5, and then we connect to our upper class boundary. For the second group, we start at the lower class boundary of this one, we go up to 7, and then we connect to our upper class boundary. For the next group, we have 4. For the next group, we have 7 again. And then for the last group, we have 6. And that's it. That's all it takes for us to draw a histogram. So you can see that once you kind of get this down, filling out the table initially takes some time, but once you get it down, it's actually pretty quick. Now we're going to go a step further, and we're just going to fill out the rest of the table just to get some practice. So now we're going to look at our relative frequency. So if you remember, our relative frequency is just going to be the frequency of that group divided by the total frequency. So in this case, we have 5 divided by 29, which is going to be equal to 0.172414. I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places and say that this is 17%, right? Because we're going to do this as a percent. So the next one, we have 7 out of 29, which I get 0.241379. So I'm going to round that to 24%. So next one we have 4, so 4 divided by 29. I'm going to round that, that's going to be 14%. We got 7, that's going to be the same one as 4, 24%. And then the last one, 6 divided by 29 is going to give us 21%. Now, because I did this based on 2 decimals, which when I multiply by 100 makes it whole percentages, right? So like this last one was 0.2068. So what I did is I rounded that to 0.21 and then I did this. So if we were to add these up though, we're going to get 17 plus 24 plus 14 plus 24 plus 21. You'll see that, well, we actually do get 100%. I actually thought this was going to be a rounding error type thing I told you about. Okay, so we get that that's 100%, and therefore we could then draw our relative frequency histogram the same way. We set up our x-axis exactly the same way, but now on our left side, instead of having our frequency, we would have our relative frequency, which then would need to be scaled based on the fact that we have values from 14 to 24. So you might want to do something like 5s or something like that. Next, we're going to fill out our cumulative frequency. So if you remember our cumulative frequency, it always starts with the same as our frequency, so 5. And then this one's going to be 7 plus 5 is going to give us 12. And this one is going to be 4 plus 12 is going to give us 16. 7 plus 16 is going to give us 23. And then 6 plus 23 is going to give us 29, which this should match our total frequency. And the last one, cumulative relative frequency. Again, we can either add up our relative frequencies and put them here, or we could take the cumulative frequencies and we could take the relative frequency of these cumulative frequencies. So again, I'm just going to add up our relative frequencies. So the first one will be the same, 17%. And so the next one is going to be 17 plus 24, which is going to give us 41%. The next one is going to be next one is going to be plus 14, which is going to give us 55%. Next one, we're going to add 24. It's going to give us 79%. And the next one, we're going to add 20, which should lead us to 100% at the end, because we're doing our cumulative relative frequency as a percent. If you were doing them as decimal, then these would just be the decimal values, 0.17, 0.41, 0.455, 0.79, and 1.00. And that's it. From there, you could now find your relative frequency histogram. You could draw your cumulative frequency histogram or your cumulative relative frequency histogram. All you have to change in this case is your y-axis and, of course, your title. Again, for your x-axis, you can either use midpoints or boundaries, but it is not dependent on any of this frequency stuff. You could actually draw that part of the graph before you even do any of the frequencies. And that's it for this example. Thank you for watching. To continue learning, click the linked video here for the next lesson. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.